Today on the Transplant Helper, how to stop and or even prevent migraine headaches. Stay tuned. Hey folks, it's time once again for yet another episode of the Transplant Helper podcast / YouTube video series. My name is Jim Merle. Let me pause and go ahead and encourage you, if you've not already subscribed to this channel, go ahead and click the subscribe button beneath this video. That will allow me to continue to offer you content on a weekly basis that will both advocate, educate, and hopefully even motivate you as a transplant patient. Now, as I said just a moment ago in the teaser, today's topic of discussion, how to stop and or prevent migraine headaches. Now, like many of you, as a matter of fact, 34 million of you in the United States alone, I suffer from severe migraine headaches. And by severe, I mean I've had all the symptoms, from the auras that start them off, to the severe pain, to the nausea, the vomiting, even to numbness, tingling, the slurred speech, you name it, I've had it, all of which basically, at its worst, seems like stroke symptoms. And that's part of the fear that my family had back when I was a little bitty boy, I think about 3 years old when this all started, and I've suffered ever since. Now, I say I've suffered ever since. Actually, there was about a 3-year period pre-heart transplant where I did not suffer. And I found out later that's because I was on some beta blockers. They're working with a heart that were actually preventing me from getting migraine headaches. And so once I found that out, when I found out eventually I was going to have that heart transplant and came out of transplant surgery, one of the first questions I asked my doctors is, can I please stay on the beta blockers? Because I did not want to continue or start again having those severe migraines. Of course, the answer to that was no, they're too dangerous. That worries us too much. We have to take you off. You don't need them anymore. And so I knew then what was going to come. And it didn't take but a matter of weeks. And again, here come the migraines. And so I basically, most of my life, had very little I can do to stop and or prevent those migraine headaches. With the exception of a couple of different times in my life, I've taken a few different pills. For example, I've taken the Imitrex nasal sprays, and also I currently can take, if needed, the Imitrex pills, or the pill form of that. And to tell you the truth, if I catch the headache very, very early on, and I'm thankful that I have the auras, if I catch it during the aura period, it can sometimes stop or at least lessen what's coming of that migraine headache. But it's not always perfect, and I have a lot of side effects from that I hate, such as, for me at least, the pounding heartbeat, the racing heartbeat, higher blood pressures, a lot of pain in my joints and my bones and my muscles that typically only last for the first few hours after taking that medicine, Imitrex, but nonetheless, I don't enjoy it. So because of that, I've always tried to seek and to find other ways not to stop migraines, but hopefully to prevent them. And I've had many doctors talk to me about this. I've been in for MRIs and CAT scans. I've seen numbers of neurologists, all of which have directed me toward the same types of preventative medicines. And I've tried a couple different types, but the one that seemingly helped me the most was something known as Topamate or Topamax, depending on whether you're getting name brand or generic, but Topamate or Topamax. And that really seemed to help me a lot for about a 2-year period. And I mean by that, it could kind of prevent the migraines. It took them apart where they weren't coming so often, and then when they did come, the severity was a little bit lower. Therefore, I could take the Imitrex in addition to that and stop most migraines. But even though that seemed to work very well, I got to a period, which I didn't know was unrelated at the time, but I got to a period where I started having some terrible, what would ultimately be side effects of that medicine, Topamate, and they consisted of lightheadedness, dizziness, double vision, basically staggering around, loss of memory, depression, you name it. I had side effects that went along with that medication. As a matter of fact, it put me in a position of seeing a neurologist again, who at the time thought I might even had a brain tumor. So they did MRIs and CAT scans again, repeated all that stuff just to clear me from that. And during that period of time, I decided that that medicine, the Topamate, was the only medication I've been taking for about the same period of time that those symptoms had been ongoing. So I decided to stop taking the medicine, and within a matter of a day or two, all those symptoms subsided, but as you can guess it, the migraines came back. So I haven't done very well with migraine prevention medicines, and not even extremely well with medications that stop it like the Imitrex, but overall, yeah, I'm pretty good. But I don't want to have any migraines. I know if you're a migraine sufferer like I am, you don't want any of those things. They're very debilitating. They can cause a lot of problems and really can just make you feel terrible even after the pain is gone. So today I want to give you 3 things that you can keep in mind mind that'll hopefully help to either prevent and or sometimes stop those migraines from occurring. Now, let me tell you what I'm going to tell you about today is not a matter of triggers. You can watch a number, probably thousands of videos here on YouTube that all talk about the triggers for migraines, whether it be dairy products, meat products. For me, it was monosodium glutamate, or MSG, also known as natural flavors, which if you'll check your bottles of all your condiments, all those sorts of things, they're in nearly everything. At least the MSG is in almost everything in some form. That was the main triggers in my life for my migraines. Others have triggers such as temperature changes, such as light changes, such as certain scents, noises. A lot of things can trigger your headaches, but I'm not talking about triggers today, because although I researched my triggers and kind of found them, that wasn't good enough. I didn't want triggers, I wanted causes. And so today, these three things are going to be three things that cause migraine headaches that sometimes people simply overlook. Number one, at least my cause, and I hope your cause, and if I say I hope because maybe you can prevent it, number one, the first thing that caused my migraines were low magnesium levels. Now, I didn't know anything about my magnesium being low, and I certainly had not connected it to any migraines at that point in time when I first found out, but I was told over and over and over while I was in the hospital awaiting transplant, even post-transplant, I was always told that my magnesium levels were very low. As a matter of fact, even though I currently today take 800 milligrams of magnesium, prescription-based magnesium 3 times a day, even now, if I were to go in and have my magnesium checked right now, it would probably still be a little on the low side, probably on the lowest side that's even relatively doable. And magnesium deficiencies can cause so many symptoms, can affect your heart rate, can affect your thinking. You can do all your research on that aside from this video. However, one thing that I did learn, and it was very hard to learn, I didn't find it probably the first 50 videos I watched or any of the documents I'd read, but finally did, is that your magnesium level, if it's low, if you're deficient, can actually be a cause, not a trigger, but a cause of migraine headaches. And so you see me putting 2 and 2 together, I immediately realized, wait a minute, if I've had low mag for all these years and I've had migraines for all these years, there may be a connection, and there is, and there can be. So let me encourage you, if you're having severe migraines, go into the doctor, ask them to run a full blood panel, make sure that they're checking things like your sodium, your magnesium, your blood sugars and such, and just see, maybe something's out of balance, maybe something needs to be improved, and maybe your headaches will improve. That's at least one of the causes of mine. Number 2, not only are they caused by, for me, low magnesium levels, which are kind of hard to get over other than the supplements, but mine are also caused many, many times by blood sugar changes. Now, by that, I don't mean necessarily a high blood sugar or a low blood sugar, but it's really based upon the spikes and the swings between the two. Now, prior to transplant, I had absolutely no problems with my blood sugar whatsoever that I knew of, other than I can remember as a child, oftentimes just kind of melting away. You know, if my sugars seemed to get low, and we never had that checked, by the way, but if my sugars seemed to get low, I'd kind of melt. I'd get angry. I'd be starving to death, so I thought, and I always had to stop and eat. But at the time, again, I didn't connect that with any migraines. Moving on into transplant and post-transplant, however, when I was put on large dosages of prednisone, that steroid, if you will, that most of us have either have been on or are currently on, when I was put on the larger doses of prednisone, I learned from that can cause blood sugars to go really high. And in me, they did. They kind of cause pre or diabetic type symptoms. And so they had to balance my blood sugars because of that. But as the dosage came down, and I've talked about this on another video I'll link to here about prednisone, it being the devil's drug, as well as answering the question, could I be addicted to prednisone? As my blood sugars began to fall, as the dosage of prednisone came down, my migraines got worse and worse. And so I got to doing my research. And I found out that it's not the low blood sugars, albeit many of mine occurred during a low blood sugar time. It's the spikes between the blood sugars. It's when you wake up in the morning and your blood sugar, as mine often is 70. Then you eat breakfast, maybe a bowl of cereal or some oatmeal or whatever you enjoy. It spikes up to maybe 150 or so, which is not too high actually, but then say 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, it starts dropping again. It drops drastically back into the 60s and 70s. Guess what? Jim Merle's going to have a migraine headache. And so I found out that there are two things I can do. One, I can prevent the migraine by going in if I know it's coming, and I can just keep my blood sugars up. And I don't mind admitting I'll tear up some Chips Ahoy cookies. So I'll stop and eat a few Chips Ahoy cookies or graham crackers or eat a spoon of peanut butter, drink a glass of orange juice. All of those things and all of the above can actually prevent my migraines because it raises that blood sugar back up just a little bit and just kind of keeps edging it up throughout the day. So eating more, I don't necessarily say full meals, but snacking in between meals, which is something, by the way, in my past I had never done, but snacking between meals, keeping the blood sugars balanced a little bit better has helped me a lot. By the way, it can also stop a migraine in progress because, again, I'm blessed to have that aura, if you will. So I've got a few minute window in there where I'm warned that a migraine's coming. I can go again and get that glass of orange juice, start to eat some of those sweets, kill a few cookies, and it can actually prevent and now stop that migraine from happening. So two things I do. Number one, I watch my magnesium levels, try to keep them up best I can. I also watch my blood sugar levels, try to balance them so we don't have those spikes. And then number three, something that many people overlook. As a matter of fact, I just learned this back, I guess, about 6 months ago, that oftentimes migraines are caused, again, not triggered, but caused by dehydration. Dehydration, that is not having enough water, hydration in your body. Now, I'm going to do a whole other episode one day about the need for staying hydrated, how we do that, and just how much we really need water. Our bodies need water. And I'm not a medical doctor, so I don't have all the ins and outs. I just live by experience. As someone, as I say sometimes, that's having been there and I'm currently doing that. But when we stay hydrated, and by the way, many of us as transplant patients are likely to become dehydrated because of the loss of fluid after the transplant, all the wonderful things we wanted to do to get rid of those things, we get dehydrated rather easily. Some of the diuretics we're on, some of the medications we're on can lead to that, and we need to stay hydrated. And when I become dehydrated, as well as I found out countless thousands don't connect this, but it's true, when I become dehydrated, I then increase my chances of having a migraine headache. So how do we stay hydrated? Someone says, well, that's easy. Drink Gatorades, drink lemonades, drink waters, drink all of this stuff. Yes, that's true. But by far, the best way to maintain your hydration is to drink nothing more than clear, clean water. Whether it be from your kitchen sink, from the tap, or whether it be, as I do, from a filter on the outside of my refrigerator or through bottled water, keeping hydrated, drinking water is the best thing you can do. Now, some of those drinks like Gatorade add a little bit of salt to the mix, therefore making that fluid stay in your body a little bit longer, which can be a plus or a minus for you. Many of us are restricted from our liquids pre and post-transplant, especially heart and lung patients that are that case. But doing the real thing that you need is to drink water and to do it the right way. You see, it actually doesn't do very much good. Let's say I've got an aura, I know a migraine's coming. It doesn't do me a lot of good, nor anyone else, to run to the refrigerator as I would want to in a panic and to grab the largest glass in the house, maybe a 32-ounce cup, fill it up with water and just kill it. Just turn it up, down that water, and try to stop a migraine. That won't work, because your body does not have the ability to absorb that quantity of water that quickly. In all reality, its absorption ability is much lower than, say, a 32-ounce drink or sometimes even a 20-ounce drink. So here's what you need to do. Now, I didn't get this all from my own. I got this from an old friend that was in a prisoner of war camp in World War II, and he found out that a lot of the people around him that were getting severely dehydrated, obviously, that were having migraine headaches, obviously, as a result, he found out this was the way to stop that dehydration from happening. Here's what he called it, the 10-10-10 method. And I share that constantly. I've shared it before on the program for other reasons. I'm sharing it again now. The 10-10-10 method is the best way to prevent dehydration or to stop yourself from being dehydrated. Here's what you need to do. You go in your kitchen sink or wherever you get your water, fill a glass up with about 10 ounces of water and drink it. Wait 10 minutes. Fill another glass up with 10 ounces of water. Drink it. Wait 10 minutes. Fill a glass up with 10 ounces of water and drink it. So 10, 10, 10, or 30 ounces over 30 minutes, and your body can easily absorb that, and that will rehydrate you pretty quickly. Now, you may need more over the course of time, and I often tell people do 10, 10, 10, skip an hour, do 10, 10, 10 more, and you can basically maintain your hydration, and in this case, maybe prevent or stop a migraine or many other symptoms that come along with that. You just have to stay hydrated. Now, somebody says, well, how do I know I'm dehydrated? Well, dehydration, along with a possible migraine, is oftentimes known by dryness of the skin. It can be recognized by sometimes even lightheadedness, headaches of all sorts, not just migraines are caused by dehydration, as well as the best thing that you can notice about that are heart palpitations. And finally, and I'll just say it the way I do in my house, when you go pee-pee, when you urinate, when you go to the bathroom, if you look in the toilet and that urine is a darker color, like yellow or even a brown almost, you are dehydrated. And as a matter of fact, the darker, the more severely dehydrated you are. You're looking, or should be looking, for clearer urines, as clear as possible. And if you find that clear urine, you're probably pretty well hydrated. That shouldn't cause you to say, well, I don't need any water today. It just means that you're doing pretty good. Keep it up. And this will obviously help you in so many ways. So let's stop and review. How do I stop and or prevent my migraine headaches? What are the causes? Not the triggers, but the causes. Number one, for me and for many of you, check out your magnesium levels as well as other levels in your bloodstream. Number two, be sure that you're watching for blood sugar spikes. Keep your blood sugar up to an average normal level, say 100, 120 all the time, if possible, by eating constantly or picking yourself up and down as quickly as possible with some of those sweets, if you will. And then thirdly, most importantly probably, and the easiest to do, maintain your hydration. Don't be dehydrated. Now, if this video has helped you in any way, I want to encourage you to go ahead and slap that like button. Give me a big old great big thumbs up. Also subscribe and share these videos as far and wide as you can. I know this is one of a million videos on YouTube about preventing migraine or stopping migraine headaches, but I'll assure you, at least in my life, this is a tried and true plan that works almost every time. And if I have to, I'll pop an Imitrex, but I'd rather not. I go with this method, and it works probably 9 times out of 10, and I've seen it work in so many other people's lives. So again, thank you so much for watching. Let me ask you a question. If you want to drop down in the comment section below, go ahead and answer the question. How do you prevent migraine headaches? And if there's a way, how do you stop your migraine headaches? I know a lot of us suffer. I said earlier, 34 million of us suffer. So let's share those ideas together and try to help each other. If you want to reach out to me on Twitter, you can at transplant_help. I always welcome your comments. And until next time, stay stronger, friends.